Hello, this is Courtney with C. Clark Creative. Thankful to have you here today. I have a floral die cut card using the Altenew Pen Sketched Flowers stamps and dies today. This is the stamp set right here. A lot of really cute images that I have stamped and then colored with Copic markers. Basically how I started is put a base layer of color using R02 and then with flicking motion starting from the center out did R14, R24, and then R29 progressively less far out, and then repeated pretty much the same process with the leaves, laying down a base of BG10 and then following up with G21 and then G24. So after I inked all those images, I then die cut them using the coordinating dies and then moved on to the ink blending. So I'm using the stencil here, Stone Wall, also by Altenew, and two ink colors, Industrial Diamond and Pure Graphite, and some ink blending brushes that I've purchased off of Amazon. And started with the little bit larger brush, it's kind of a medium-sized brush, and laid down that lighter gray color, the Industrial Diamond, and used my Wendy Vecchi Make Art Station to hold my panel in place and just went through and laid down this first color. Did not worry about getting even coverage. The more uneven it is, the more like stone it actually looks. So I go through the whole panel with that first gray, and then I move on to the Pure Graphite, the darker of the two grays, and the smaller brush, and just to add some accents in different areas. Again, not covering the whole panel, not being too prescriptive with it, just kind of letting the color do what it wants to do. And then what I do is take my card base and I'm adding some, using that medium-sized brush again, and putting down Industrial Diamond onto the card panel. Now I'm using the ruler that comes with the Wendy Vecchi station. It's a magnetic ruler, and marking off that top square amount, which is 1/4 of an inch essentially, and I'm ink blending the center of the panel but leaving that 1/4 inch. And what that's going to do is create a white border, and then I have a panel that's going to go on top of this that is a little bit closer to the edge than that 1/4 inch, but it gives the illusion of more layers basically. So just using this magnetic ruler to get that edge, and then I'm going to cut a little bit off of this card panel so that I end up with a card panel that is, I believe it's 5 1/4 by 4 inches. I'm die cutting using the Oblong Hexagon from the Stamp Market, and then I'm going to just set aside that center panel, use that for a different project, and let the panel dry while I get my butterfly ready. So I have the Sizzix Thinlits here, Scribbly butterflies, and I picked this smallest butterfly, which I die cut from some black cardstock. This is Onyx Black from Gina K Designs. And just die cut this out, and then I get a scrap piece of vellum that's just a little bit larger than the butterfly, and I color with my green color combo that I used on the leaves. I just lay down the BG10 and then go over it loosely with the G21 and the G24. All of this inking is going to be on the back side of the vellum. You're going to flip it over before you move on to the next step. So I trace the butterfly, loosely cut it out on the inside of that tracing line just so I know it's a little bit smaller than the butterfly, and adhere it using Gina K Connect glue. So I'm just trimming on the inside of the line. And I did make sure that the inked side of this vellum was facing down on this. So I just use the tweezers just to help me align this better and get those two put together and just clean up a little bit of excess glue with that fine point. So for the sentiment, I've chosen Be Happy from the same stamp set and using my Misti. I'm using VersaMark ink, and then I'm using Ranger Black embossing powder, which I heat to set here. And then you can see when this panel lays over that card base, it does look like additional layers in there because I've just got a little bit, I didn't want that stark white behind these flowers. So that's why I've got that little bit of color on that card panel. So I'm just kind of arranging my flowers here, trying to decide what I want. I did need to trim that leaf just so that I could overhang that wall a little bit. And then I use some press and seal to flip this over, and then I can lift up little bits and pieces to get them adhered together. And then I'm using scrapbook.com foam. I have some of the roll and then some of the foam squares to help pop this panel up a little bit. And then I bend this butterfly just a little bit and then adhere just on the body, so it just gives it a little bit of dimension popping up off of this card a little bit. As a finishing touch, I take some Nouveau crystal drops in ebony black to add a little bit of accent to the centers of these flowers. And then I take Ranger glossy accents and trace around the butterfly body, not above the vellum, just above the black cardstock essentially, to give a little bit of shine and bring a little bit more attention to that butterfly. And then letting everything dry, and then this card is complete. I put together a similar card just using different colors and technique for you to see here. And then just some close-ups of the original card here. But thank you for joining me today, and hope you like what I put together, and we'll see you again soon.